Time for today's American Family News Daily Update. I'm Bronson Woodruff. President Biden said on Wednesday that he would not supply offensive weapons that Israel could use to launch an all-out assault on Rafah. Rafah is the last major stronghold of Hamas in Gaza. Biden said he won't do this over concern for the well-being of the more than 1 million civilians sheltering there. In an interview with CNN, Biden said the U.S. was still committed to Israel's defense, such as the Iron Dome rocket interceptors and other defensive arms, but that if Israel goes into Rafah, quote, we're not going to supply the weapons and artillery shells used, end quote. Former President Donald Trump attends another day of his trial in New York, facing testimony from adult film star Stormy Daniels, who Trump allegedly paid off to conceal an affair. Speaking outside the New York Supreme Court, Florida Senator Rick Scott says this is political persecution that no one is immune from.
They can go after any one of us if they want to, and you do not have the resources to do it. They can go after the former president, they can go after you.
Former President Trump is accused of faking business records to hide the payments to Daniels before the 2016 election. He denies the charges. The judge has also found that Trump violated the gag order in the case multiple times and has threatened to jail him if the violations continue. Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene tried and failed in a brazen push to oust House Speaker Mike Johnson. Greene stood on the House floor late Wednesday and read a long list of transgressions she said Johnson had committed as Speaker, one of which being his passage of a $95 billion national security package with aid for Ukraine. Colleagues booed in protest, but Greene carried on, criticizing Johnson's leadership as, quote, pathetic, weak, and unacceptable, end quote. Greene triggered the vote on her motion to vacate Speaker Johnson from his office, but Republican Majority Leader Steve Scalise quickly countered by calling first for a vote to table it. An overwhelming majority, 359 to 43, kept Johnson in his job for the time being. Could masked anti-Israel protesters on college campuses get in legal trouble? Ohio's top lawyer has advised the state's public universities that a law from 1953 could cause these students to face some felony charges. The law was written to prevent Ku Klux Klan demonstrations, and it could be used to bring felony charges on students who wear face coverings while they protest the war in Gaza. In a letter sent on Monday, Republican Attorney General Dave Yost advised the presidents of Ohio's 34 public four-year universities to forewarn students about this law. The law is contained in a single sentence. It says, quote, no person shall unite with two or more others to commit a misdemeanor while wearing white caps, masks, or other disguise. Yost wrote that violating this anti-disguise law is punishable by a fourth-degree felony charge, up to $5,000 in fines, and 5 years on community control. Protesters around the U.S. and the world have increasingly done things to keep their identity secret by wearing head and face coverings. Tornadoes tore through the southeastern U.S. as storms have left 3 people dead. The storms continue an outbreak of heavy rain and tornadoes that has cut across the country this week. At least 4 people total have died in storms since Monday. During Wednesday's storms, the National Weather Service continued issuing tornado warnings past midnight in North Carolina, Alabama, Georgia, Missouri, and Kentucky. Parts of Arkansas and Mississippi were also under a tornado watch before dawn. In northeastern Tennessee on Wednesday, high winds knocked down power lines and trees. The sheriff in Claiborne County, Bob Brooks, said that a 22-year-old man was in a car when a tree hit it and killed him. A second person was killed in the city of Columbia in Maury County. The National Weather Service said a twister likely touched down there. Columbia is just south of Nashville. In North Carolina, a state of emergency was declared Wednesday night for Gaston County, west of Charlotte, after a large storm toppled power lines and severed trees, including one that landed on a car. One person in the car was killed, another was taken to a hospital, according to officials. The National Weather Service said twisters touched down in parts of Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana on Tuesday. In Michigan, tornadoes swirled through the southwestern part of the state, in and around Kalamazoo County, according to the National Weather Service. The governor there declared a state of emergency for 4 counties. Twisters also confirmed in Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh, in central Arkansas, and in northwestern Virginia. The West Virginia twister was at least the 11th tornado this year in the state of West Virginia. It sees about 2 tornadoes on average a year. Both the Plains and Midwest have been hammered by twisters so far this spring. That's not all the storm damage either. A lot of people right now are recovering. And one more thing before we say goodbye, TikTok is now suing America. The video sharing site and its Chinese parent company ByteDance filed a lawsuit on Tuesday. They're challenging a new American law that would ban the app in the U.S. unless it's sold to an approved buyer, saying that it unfairly singles out the platform and saying also that it's an unprecedented attack on free speech. President Biden signed the law as part of a larger foreign aid package. It marks the first time the United States has singled out a social media company for a potential ban. The lawsuit is the latest turn in what's shaping up to be a long legal fight over TikTok's future in the U.S., and one that could end up going before the Supreme Court. If TikTok loses, it says it would be forced to shut down next year. And that'll do it for today's American Family News Update. I'm Bronson Woodruff.